Hi, guys. It's Ryan Fowler here with my two good friends, Tim Costello, Jordan Kurtz, in our game group with MindChrysalis. We have a good one today, especially if you guys are struggling with family members during the holiday. We have some tips for you. We have tips for don't go, or if you do go, what can you do to manage them? So, before we get into that, Tim, welcome to the show. Jordan, introduce yourselves, guys. Tim first.
Yep, I'm Tim Costello with Tim at clearthattrauma.com. Visit my website, learn a little bit of information, and we're going to talk about the process of allowing you to enjoy a time of year that seems to be fraught with stress and anxiety for some people, not everybody, but for some people. And we're going to talk about that. So go ahead, Jordan.
Jordan Kurtz, jordankurtzhypnosis.com. I'm a hypnotist like these other two. And like Tim said, we're going to discuss, we know that the holidays can be joyous for some and sometimes stressful for others. So we're going to talk about that, how it relates to your subconscious mind, and some practical tips. So it'll be a good show.
All right, very good. And before we dive into that, guys, just remember we have a free community with free self-hypnosis training and audios, and an ebook on how the subconscious mind works, why it keeps you stuck, to give you that foundational understanding of what's really going on deep down in your core. School.com/MindChrysalis-7138. You just go there, you click to join, we approve it, and then you're on. It's a community of people up-leveling their inner world, their subconscious. We talk about all mindset stuff. I do cognitive techniques in addition to hypnosis, although hypnosis, the way we do it, we have a specialized method, is the most powerful tool. So there's a free self-hypnosis course there. We do webinars twice a month on school.com, MindChrysalis-7138, and a community of people that you can interact with, and people are using this. They're using the self-hypnosis. You go there, you read the comments, they're like, dang, man. One just said, wow, I'm doing this. My inner world, I feel so much lighter, cleaner, etc. Skinny to swole. Welcome to the show, my man. Merry Christmas to you. We're going to, if you have toxic family members, we hopefully make it a little merrier with today's tips, or at least not as miserable. So anyways, we have a good clip. And you know what? I accidentally logged out of my browser, so I got to line up this clip too. But before we dive into this, what do you guys have to say about the holidays, managing toxic family members? Tim, I'll say this: your family is pretty healthy. Your extended family too. I've had Christmas dinner with them, but you're also very good at establishing boundaries. You were a vice president. I think you had 150 under you, and then at some point you had like 600 people working under you with Walmart. So how do you, what do you have to say initially to weigh in on this before we go to the clip?
So it's an interesting thing because in retail, holidays can be very stressful. And it has to do with a lack of planning. And although we're not talking about running retail stores today, we are talking about planning our lives. And one of the things I want to say around this time of year is that, number one, you need to be your authentic self. What is it you desire to do? If that desire is to go spend time with some family members, then go do it. If that time is to not do that and go hang out with some friends that you enjoy, do it. Because this is the time of year that you should be healthy. You should enjoy it, and you should not come out of these holidays in some toxic manner. And we can talk a little bit later about how to find your authentic self. Because if you're ever doing anything for anybody else other than you, and that's a little bit of a selfish pursuit, then don't do it, right? Reverse that idea, reverse that mindset in your brain to do what you want to do, because you're going to be happier when you do it. There are times in the military when I served in the Navy that I was away from my family. We had some phone calls and stuff like that. But there were times that I was submerged under the water in a submarine during Christmas. You know, I was alone, but I was never lonely. So let's talk about our authentic selves and fulfilling what our authentic desires are.
Okay, there's definitely a lot of stuff to dive into later with that, Tim. Very good advice, I'd say. Jordan, anything? We're going to go into this clip. It's actually a really, really good clip. I love this guy's style and the things he says. His YouTube channel, The Royal We. What really happens when you avoid toxic family holiday gatherings. We're going to talk about, there might be times where, hey, there's 8 people in my family and I really want to see 4, and I really don't want to see 4, but I'm going to go to see the 4 I hardly ever get to see. So you can't always just say no. So we'll play the clip, but then we're going to add some additional stuff. Anything you'd like to say to before we get into the clip, Jordan?
Yeah, and I think Tim touched on a bit with boundaries. And I think during the holidays, for some people, there's the holiday obligations that they sometimes feel, and those can range, right? Not everyone has quote toxic family members that they need to deal with, but I still think you still need to have, as an adult, you still have to have healthy boundaries no matter what. And I think people who may have some subconscious issues that they're dealing with, when they go back potentially and visit with their families, those subconscious issues are amplified. I think I've talked with Ryan about this.
Talked about that on yesterday's show. You can get triggered during the holidays. A lot of subconscious programs, painful ones, getting triggered. Yeah.
And sometimes people will feel like, I have to do this because it's Christmas, because it's Thanksgiving, because it's
the obligation.
X holiday.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And I sort of, what we're going to talk about a little bit is sort of how you can sort of reframe that narrative as an adult now, because a lot of that's coming from perhaps maybe your childhood, where it's like I've always done this since I was young. It's always just how it's been.
Yeah.
And so, and the holidays might kind of be a unique kind of, I can set boundaries every other spot, but in the holidays, I feel like I'm still obligated. So we're going to talk about that.
Yeah. And this video is going to go over that. Yeah. And we're also going to, this video talks about, why it's okay to not see these people during the holidays if they're toxic to you, if you really don't want to go. But like I said, there's going to be situations where you decide to go anyways, and it's just some toxic family members, and the others you really want to see, so you go anyways, or for some other reason, you want that inheritance. No, I'm just kidding. But maybe
suck it up, baby, suck it up.
Yeah. So, all right. So let's get into this clip. Yeah. I really love this clip because this guy explains this just so well. And we'll play at 1 1/4 speed, but and then we'll just comment as needed. But this is great. We're going to comment, but we're going to get to the other. There's more after this clip. We got to kind of go quick because we got limited time. So here we go.
Sounds good.
No thank you to narcissistic family invitations to holiday get-togethers, Christmas Eve dinner, Thanksgiving dinner. Saying no is the best thing that you can do for your life. It is the most empowering and
that's called having boundaries. We'll keep going.
Strengthening thing that you can do for 2 reasons that we're going to talk about in this video. Number 1, it's going to empower you. It's going to strengthen you. It's going to cut the ties of the narratives that you've been following throughout your life. It's going to set you on a path to make decisions for yourself, to think.
One thing I'll say real quick, when he means empower you, what you're going to find out is a lot of the tools that toxic family members use to guilt or shame you or control you or whatever, it's really just illusion. Most of the time they have zero power over you other than this psychological warfare. And once you say, hey, screw that, I'm not going to do it, you realize they have no power over you. That's why it's empowering. It's really important to shatter any illusion that they actually have power, or you give them power. You can take your power back. We'll keep going.
Think for yourself, to make plans and spend the holidays doing what it is you want to do as opposed to doing what you feel you have to do. All right. But number 2, it really comes as a gut punch to the narcissistic family members or the toxic people that you're dealing with. Now, this is not the primary reason you want to say no, but it is an added bonus that when you stand up and say no thank you, I'm not going to be joining you this time, it's kind of an added bonus to know that it really just kind of punches them in the gut, right? Not only that, but it gives them 2 punches. Punches them in the gut, and it slaps them upside the face too. We're going to talk about why this is. My name is Kevin, and this is the Royal We. Now, before
Pause that for just a second.
About why it's so important.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So the only thing I don't like about what this fellow says is when he's using self-control or selfishness of one's own authentic self as a tool to hammer somebody else. It's the only thing I disagree with.
Yeah.
I don't do anything to hurt anybody else. I do everything that I do to benefit me and mine. That's my boundary. I'm not here to hurt you. I'm not here to make you feel bad. I don't want to, inflict any pain upon you. That's the only thing I don't like about what this guy says. Other than that, this guy's on the money.
I agree 100%. Go ahead, Jordan.
No, Tim made the comment I was going to make. So.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll add to
like Jordan.
I'll add to it a little. Part of healing is forgiving those who harmed you.
Yes, sir.
And I've actually had sessions where, we're all mindset, all 3 of us mindset coaches who use hypnosis is not our only tool, but our most effective tool in the toolbox. And by far, watch my testimonials. I have almost 24 up now, guys. Just put another 3, going to do another 1 before too long. Massive results. But some people cannot let go of their subconscious trauma, their toxic shame until they forgive. I've literally had a session where I'm trying to help people heal their inner wounds. They can't let it go. And then in the same session, I then go to a technique that helps them forgive those who harm them, go right back. Now they can let it go. Yep. And I've had that happen multiple times, 3 or 4 times. And then I said, geez, I'm going to resolve resentment first. So any session where anyone has any major resentment towards someone, resolve that first, forgive. When you forgive others, you become kinder and more forgiving towards yourself. Imagine that. So, if you're really emotionally healthy, or you're leaning in, you're working on yourself to get there. You don't really want to hurt others or sucker punch them or whatever. It's part of your healing. Yeah. Vengeance. Go ahead and get that revenge. See how you feel. Do you feel any better? No, you feel like crap. Now you lower yourself to their level in some ways. So,
because, and let me throw in there, Ryan and Jordan, that if you're using your presence or whatever as a control mechanism, that means they're essentially still controlling you to get you to do something to make them react a certain way.
Yeah, even if it's not what they want, it's evidence they still have influence over you.
Yeah,
because you're doing that because of them.
Forget them, move on.
Yeah.
Take them out of your frame.
Yeah, 100%. All right, so we'll keep going. Excellent point, though, Tim. Honestly, we can talk about that's a whole separate show, but it's so incredibly important to when you forgive and heal your wounds, you will learn a couple things. Number 1, there's no greatness without adversity. The adversity they gave you helped you claim a deeper level of inner awareness, inner power, inner peace you never would have gotten otherwise. And any damage they do to you, psychologically, in one way or another, and I know this is hard for some of you to believe, but in one way or another, it's temporary. Yep. You can come out on the other end much wiser and stronger. Than anything that doesn't kill you makes you stronger. There's truth to that. Anyways, we'll keep going. So when others traumatize you, in a way, it can be a gift. I know it sucks, and you can spend decades struggling. But when you do get on the other side, if you choose to, and if you find the resources like what we have, you'll be a much stronger person than you otherwise would have. So, and I know that from personal experience, but we'll keep going. Here we go.
Important for you to say no to the narcissistic people's holiday invitations. I want to let you know that even if you feel alone, you're not alone. I will be here for you to support you. I do take telephone calls as well as video calls through Zoom, FaceTime, and WhatsApp. So head on down there to the description box, schedule some time with me, especially if you are back and forth right now in your mind on whether or not you should go, shouldn't go. Should you be involved with toxic family or should you not? This is the holiday season. Very difficult question for a lot of people. Also, I do have an announcement for those of you who know about the Royal Week Coaching.
Tell you what, I'll put in the link my 30-minute appointment. So if you guys want a 30-minute Zoom call, you need help, after the show, I'll put it in. You can do a 30-minute with me for free. All right, we'll keep going.
Program this next month and this next month only.
Merry Christmas. That's my Christmas gift.
We are doing a special all throughout December. It is going to be Rethink Christmas. We are taking it from Chris Must, right? Because Chris Must throughout the decades of your life has been about what you must do for others in order to enjoy the holiday. We're going to wipe all that away and move into being able to enjoy Christmas the way that you would like to enjoy holidays from here on out. Take it from being about them and about everyone else to actually finally making it about you. Do something for yourself. Give yourself a gift. Spend this month with me in the Royal Week Coaching Program. Link in the description box down below. Head on down there. Get involved right now. I'd love to see you in there. Now, let's get into this topic. Now, when it comes to the strength and the power that you get just from saying no for the first time, no, thank you. I'm not going to your Christmas Eve dinner this year. I'm not doing the Thanksgiving feast with you this year. I've got other plans. It doesn't matter how you say no. You don't have to be mean about it. You don't have to be all like, hey, you are a narcissistic group of people and I don't want anything to do with you. I'm staying away, doggone it. No, all you have to say is thanks, but no thanks. I've got other plans this year. And now here is what is happening.
Arguing with them actually gives, if they are really narcissists, there's other types of toxic family members or people. But arguing with the narcissist, they actually like that. They feed off of that. So
absolutely.
Yeah, avoid that. Yeah, just say, and I learned from Tim. I've known Tim since 2005. And we worked together back in 2005 for a few years. And I had some difficult clients. And you told me, you said, just tell them no. And don't even give them a reason. If you give them a reason, they can argue with you. So just say, no, I'm not going to do that. And it works brilliantly. They have nothing to argue with. You just said no. You don't say why, because if you say why, they can try and overcome that objection. Now you're arguing. You just say no. Right. Say, no, I have other plans.
My technique for that is just say, no, that doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
And they say why, just say, sorry, it doesn't work for me, and just keep repeating. Because the thing is, first of all, you're an adult. You don't have to give a reason. But if you do give a reason, then the person has something to try and change. Like, it gives them fuel almost to try and change your mind. If you just say that doesn't work, or just no, there's nothing to attack, right? You're almost
and you know what, Jordan? I would submit to you to end your sentence with the word no.
Yeah.
Not even it doesn't work for me. Well, what does work for you? What can I do?
Yeah, there you go.
Right. All of a sudden they're starting to get in that conversation. Just say no.
Yeah.
And then it's over.
Yeah, I might throw in I have other plans, because that really says nothing at all. But
what plans do you have?
Yeah, what plans do you have? And you say, oh yeah, I just have some other stuff going on.
What other stuff you got going on?
I'll be with a friend, Why aren't we more important? It's like, no, I just have other plans this year.
That's it. That's it.
They might go that far. I wouldn't go any farther than that. I would give more of an explanation to someone who I know is kind and non-toxic and just out of respect for them. But people who don't treat you well are just going to use it to argue. They don't deserve that.
Right.
Number one, you are empowering yourself no matter how uncomfortable it feels. It might feel like you're the worst person in the world. And of course it does.
This is an opportunity for growth, to claim your power. This is an opportunity. If you haven't said no before, you're going to claim your power. You're going to learn how much power you have when you do say no. So look at it that way, guys.
But it's empowering. It's strengthening you. Let me ask you a question. When it comes to being involved with narcissistic, toxic family members year after year around the holidays, have you ever stopped to ask why? Why? Of course you have. Of course you've asked, why am I even here? As you're in a room full of people who are either doing one of two things, by the way. Your narcissistic family members are either on their best behavior just because it's Christmas Eve or just because it's Thanksgiving. And you can see right through it. The fake smiles, them pretending to care about your life and your work while they're cramming their face full of stuffing and turkey and gravy. And you're like, why? Why? Or they're being mean and they're devaluing you and they're isolating you in the room and they're talking amongst each other, whispering in each other's ears and looking at you and saying things and being snarky on purpose, the same things that they've always done to make you feel uncomfortable. And you're there asking, why am I even here? While you're trying to hold a smile together, why are you even there? The reason you're asking that question is because you don't want to be there. And it's a good question. So why are you there? You're there because you're not even thinking. I'm not trying to come down on you. It's just the reality. I was there too. Every time I was with those narcissistic, toxic people back in California, and I was wondering, why am I even here? It's like I was living and acting out of an unthoughtful process in my own life.
Comment on that. And that's probably a good place to start, because once you're asking that question, that's the first step. Because some people, if you don't value yourself, or if you value yourself so little, you may just tolerate that. You may never even ask the question why. You'll just assume, well, this is the role I play in the family, is to be a scapegoat or, you know, the attacked. You may just think that. But once you start asking, why is that? You know, then that little chink in the armor starts to break. So that's a good spot to at least start.
Yeah, and I agree with that, Jordan. So once you discover your authentic self, and that's when we uncover all of that trauma, we dig it out, we reprogram you for success and true love inside yourself. You now have this really good inner game where, you know, we know what the 5 categories of subconscious trauma are. If you reverse those, that's your inner game. You're good enough. You belong to yourself. You deserve everything that's going on around you. You feel good when you get it. You don't resent or have any rage towards anybody. And you feel very safe and secure. All of a sudden, you got this strong inner game, and you now start constructing that frame. And that frame is your boundaries. So when you're discovering your authentic self and you end up in this toxic situation, you now, like you said, ask yourself, why? Why am I here? I'm now starting to discover my frame and my boundaries. And quite frankly, emotionally, I'd be a lot happier just going to the movies and eating some popcorn by myself. If that's what you wanted to do. Cool Marvel movie out or something like that, go do it, right?
Well,
if
I
that's
don't know
what you want to do.
That might be a bad example, Tim.
What's
Marvel
that?
I don't know if I'd say Marvel.
Yeah, the latest Marvel
I'm not even a moviegoer, so I'm not even sure.
But,
they've been super woke. They've gotten actually a tremendous amount of backlash. And
all that good junk. Whatever movie you want to see. Maybe the Polar Express is playing again. I don't know.
Yeah.
But you ask yourself why. And, you know, Ryan, in your show yesterday, you talked about why triggers are a good opportunity. If you're finding your authentic self and you're establishing your solid inner game, and now you're building your frame and you end up in these toxic situations, you ask yourself why, right? You're triggered and you say, gee, why am I triggered? Okay, I choose not to be triggered. So I'm going to go fix that. I'm going to write that down. I'm going to get out of this situation. I'm going to go. You don't need a reason. You just say, I'm gone. Goodbye. No, I'm done. And you move on.
Yeah. So couple things I want to comment on is this is what we're talking about is putting yourself first. What you want, what you need, putting that first. Why should you? Well, you matter. And if you don't put yourself first, no one else will. And just ask yourself, would these people I'm going to see, are they going to put me first? Are they going to look out for my interests? Are they going to care about what I think or feel? Or are they just going to belittle me or manipulate or just do whatever they do? So first off, you matter. So put yourself first, because if you don't, pretty much no one will. Maybe if you're lucky, you get parents when you're a kid who will do that. But later on, no one does. So you always, you take care of yourself because someone should. The second thing is you may feel a sense of obligation or guilt or shame if you don't do it, if you don't, follow the narrative. Later on, this guy's going to talk about society expectations, everything like that. It all really is just a psychological illusion. And hey, maybe you go home for the holidays. My show yesterday is using these triggers to heal. Maybe you don't know what the triggers are. You go home to get triggered, and then you heal it using our methods. Okay, you know, maybe there are some family members you legitimately do want to see, so you decide to go. But at the end of the day, you got to put yourself first, because if you don't, no one else will. And these obligations, the guilt, the shame, look at it and say, okay, what really would happen if I say, screw this obligation and I just don't go? What's going to happen? Now, if you don't know, okay, try it once and then see what happens. You know, that's an opportunity to learn and grow. But manipulative family members, you know, when you're a child, they act like your parents actually do have power over you. When you're a child, you're young, you're helpless, you're defenseless, you're relying on them. Now you live on your own, you pay your own bills, independent, etc. Assuming that's the case, maybe you still live with your parents, but in which case you're going to be with them for Christmas. But when you are independent, you may still have this program in you of you're powerless and helpless, but it's just not true anymore. So look inward if you feel any sense of guilt, shame, obligation, and say, hey, you know, what is this really about? Do I really have to do this? What could go wrong if I just say, hey, I have other plans this holiday, you know? And maybe that's something worth discovering, because, hey, if you never learn, then you'll never progress. It's very important for us to learn these things and put ourselves first, because if we don't, no one else will, and we do matter. Someone should put us first. Here we go.
If I was there without even thinking about it, because if I was thinking about it, I wouldn't have been there, because I would have thought about how ridiculous it is to be around people who don't care, who are abusive.
Yeah, why should you be around people who treat you poorly?
Absolutely.
If they really want you to be there, they would treat you well. Ultimately, if you don't show up, it's because of how they treat you, right? Because if they did treat you and value you and respect you and love you and all that stuff and not manipulate you, etc., then they would be behaving in a way where you actually want to go. But if you don't want to go because of their behavior, then who's really, you know, if you want to put any blame, I don't believe in putting blame, but just as for argument's sake, whose fault is that? Well, it's their fault for treating you like crap. You know, that's why you shouldn't have a sense of obligation. But anyways, we'll keep going.
Who are narcissistic, but I'm not thinking, I'm just doing. See, we have a bigger problem to now face. The reason that you are mechanically just saying yes and constantly going along with your families and siblings and whatever holiday feasts they have without thinking is because you've been conditioned to. You're just following a script. It's a narrative. You're like a mechanical being, a thoughtless being. And since you were a youngster, you've been conditioned and you've been given a narrative and a script that this is what you do on
We
Christmas,
have a word for
this
that.
is what you do on Thanksgiving. It's all about your family.
What is that?
We have a term for that: subconscious program.
Yeah, you're following this narrative automatically until you make the unconscious conscious. It will direct your life and you'll call it fate. Time to take control, guys.
And that's why saying no can help you reveal
It's not
those programs in your head. Because if you say no and you still feel this guilt or like have to do this, and you realize, oh, that's just all in my head.
Ask yourself what it's about.
Something about that.
What do you feel and what is it about? It's time to take life into your own hands, take control, make the unconscious conscious, and figure out what is really going on here. So any negative feelings you have, what is really going on? Why do I feel this way? What's happening? Write it out, journal it out. That's a good step.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And sometimes being away from that helps you see that much clearer, because when you're in the middle of it, when you're in that environment, maybe you're in your childhood home, maybe you're around other people who've created problems in the past. When you're inside of that problem, it can be a lot harder to see. When you step outside of it, you go, oh, I can see that you're not, first of all, you're not emotionally triggered because you're not inside of it. Second of all, you're distancing yourself. And so you can notice things you couldn't when you were in the thick of it, so to speak.
Okay. All right. We'll keep going. Good comments, Jordan.
Yeah.
About you. It's about your family. You've got to show up for them. It's about baby Jesus. You got to do candlelight service. It's about Santa Claus. It's about this. Everybody has given a piece and has told you how you should look at holidays. And so now you're wondering why it is you end up in these places that you're not even thinking about it. And you're asking, why am I even here around people who don't care about me? And I'm done caring about being here, but I'm here. Right? So what's really happening when you say no? is you're not only cutting the ties with those narcissistically abusive family members that you've been going along with forever, but you're also finally cutting the ties with society's puppet strings, if you will, the institutionalized tradition that you've been given a script for that tells you got to spend time with your family, you got to spend time with you, right? You're cutting those strings, which is what is probably the most uncomfortable thing. If you really think about it, it's not that bad saying no thank you to the narcissistic people. It's what you think about yourself for doing that. Oh, but if I say no, what does that make me? The only reason you're asking that is because you're comparing yourself with what society has told you. It's
that
about
toxic
family.
shame.
And
You don't know any
That's
different.
what that is.
So if you make it
yeah, we got to clarify here what society has told you since childhood, which has gotten into your subconscious, because the first 8 years of our life, we're just downloading everything into our subconscious. And even for the next 6 years after that, we're still absorbing some things into our subconscious. So how things were in childhood and the messages we got and how we internalize them, and everyone does, that's what's really playing out here. To this day, you could be 65 and what happened when you were 5 is still ruling your life. So we want to make that distinction. We'll keep going.
Would this be a good time
not
to
about
cover?
the toxic family. Well, then
What's that?
what is it about?
I was going to talk about the psych hacks briefly. The first tips.
We'll hit that afterwards. So
Sure.
this is just the point of this video is, why are you justified to just say no and not even go if you really don't want to, if they're really just going to treat you poorly? However, there are going to be situations where you have to spend time with toxic family members. Baby, like I said, there's 8 people coming and you really like 6 and there's just 2 that are jerks. So you decide it's worth it to go. But you got to deal with the jerks. Or maybe you still live with your parents or just whatever. You know, there's a lot of people in their 20s. I live with, I moved back in with my parents from age 29 to 31 because I had a business fail and I was broke. So, and every now and then, probably every 3rd year, I probably do spend Christmas with my parents because other family members are there. And it's like, oh yeah, I want to see my brothers, you know. And also, you know, I'm, you know, my dad's okay, guys. It's, you know, my mom I have to watch out for, but we'll talk about that later because I actually don't even really need to watch out for her now. Right. You can get to a point where these toxic people are around you and you're just fine. So we're going to cover that after this video. And there's a Psych Hacks video. Dr. Ryan Taraban, great guy, talking about the holidays and how to handle, you know, toxic holidays stuff. And I'll sum it up for you right now. He says, consider not going, which is what this guy talks about. Consider shortening your duration and not staying as long. And don't drink booze. He says, don't drink booze while you're there because that could lead to big arguments and whatnot. So that's pretty much.
Get your own car and potentially your own lodging.
Oh yeah, get your own transportation, you know, rental car or, you know, Uber. You know,
and the key with that is again, we talked about setting
you're not
boundaries.
Stuck there. Yeah.
Right. You're setting boundaries. You're giving yourself an escape. So if there's still people you want to see, like Ryan was talking about, maybe you shorten your stay and only say, I'm only going to be there for Christmas dinner. I'm not going to spend
I've done that before, man.
The entire day. Maybe I have a car so that if things go aside, I know in my head mentally I have an out. I know I'm not staying the night at this place. I'm not stuck. If I need to go, I can take my car, go stay in an Airbnb or the hotel or whatever I got.
Yeah.
This allows you, I think, because some of the pressure, I think, happens when you feel like you're stuck. And that's when people shut down and go inside and feel like they're trapped. It's like, I got to stay here for the next 5 days, and these people are driving me crazy already. But I think some of that pressure comes off when you're like, you know what? If shit hits the fan, I'm just gonna go. And that way, I think it helps you relax a little more because then you know you have an out. You're not this caged animal stuck inside your childhood home or maybe your aunt's home or wherever else you are. You know, you're like, you know what? If I don't like it, I know I can leave. And they know you can leave too.
That's true. Yeah. So we're going to play just a little bit more about this. This is why it's okay to not even go. After this, and we only have about 10 minutes, and then I got to duck out. We're probably good with this clip. The point of this clip is if going is not to your benefit, if it's just going to cause you to get upset because of what these other people do to you, if they're just going to use and abuse you and just treat you poorly, then it's okay to just not go. Now, I was talking on my show yesterday. I'm in a situation where, you know, my dad can be pretty controlling too. He's not a narcissist like my mom. He has his own quirks. My mom, NPD, you know, super narcissistic. I'll tell you a couple things that I've learned is, number one, after I healed I've literally gone on family reunions where I have 2 brothers, 2 sisters. And I had one of the sisters upset and both brothers upset because of the crap my mom was pulling. She pulls it on me. I just don't care. Like, everyone else is like, well, you're so calm with mom. You're so calm. We're all pissed off. They actually point it out and notice it. And it's like, yeah, it's because I've cleared my trauma. And how our subconscious mind works is we have these painful beliefs in us. You know, if someone rejects me, it means I'm not good enough. And then your mom rejects you, or someone criticizes. I had a belief in me. If someone criticized me, the criticism must be true. I had no boundaries. I had that program. So any criticism anyone gave me was really painful. And my mom would just use that and just have a heyday, because narcissists love that. They love to, they either want you to adore them or they want a power trip off of seeing the effect that their actions have on you, even if in a negative way. And so they can kind of feed off your pain. And what happens is you remove these bad subconscious programs, you put good ones in. I am enough just for who I am. I don't need to do or say anything to be good enough. I just am good enough. I'm perfectly lovable, perfectly acceptable. If no one else sees my value, it doesn't mean I don't have value. It means they cannot see it. That's their blindness. That's their problem. I have those narratives in me. And what happened, and I put them in clients all the time. What happens once you have that in you, you understand when these people are pulling their bullshit, it's not you, it's them. You understand it at a
clear. Let's be clear, Ryan. You understand that to a core level. You're not just cognitively processing this. You understand to a core level that you have
That's
value.
what makes the difference.
Because
you can have mindset coaches tell you this, and then you cognitively think it, but you still feel like crap when you do get rejected. Yeah. That means your subconscious is not on board. We get your subconscious mind and your conscious mind on board. And so now here's the thing. My mom behaves much better now towards me. Why? Because her crap doesn't work on me.
She can't trigger you.
Yeah. So I'm not saying she behaves perfect. She still pulls crap every now and then, but she pulls it much less. She'll focus on my other family members who she can mess with.
Yeah, she's programmed to pull that crap because it worked in the past.
Yeah. So everything I just said, you want to consciously understand that it's not you, it's them. Accept them for who they are. They're not going to change. They're messed up. That's their problem. You cannot fix them. Only they can fix themselves. They choose not to. So it's all them. It's not you. You're good enough just as you are. So if you are in a situation where you have to be there for the holidays, for whatever, or you choose to, there's some toxic people, but other people we haven't seen in a year or whatever, and you really want to see them, okay, go. But just have these understandings, and you may want to try what's called gray rock, which is just be as neutral and boring as possible with the toxic people. Short answers, keep it on neutral subjects, and then just spend as much time as possible not around them, engaging with other people, and be gray rock around them. A boring gray rock that is neutral and doesn't give them any ammunition to use against you. And then when they do that, use that ammunition, understand that it's because they're messed up. It's not you.
Yep.
Anything else to add,
yes.
Tim Jordan?
So, go ahead,
if you have to be there, what do you do?
So I thought of another. So I think there's another Alex Hormozi video I like, and he talks about, this is sort of going away from the narcissism, but it adds to it, that let's say you're a young adult and you've been out of the house for a while. You've been off at college, you've been off working, you've been in med school, whatever you're doing. We talk about Gestalt. We've done the Gestalt therapy. That's one of the common things we do. And one of the reasons Gestalt works is because we don't really interact with people, we have models of people in our mind that we interact with. And the reason the Gestalt works is because we're really having a conversation with that model of the other person in their head to resolve issues. Well, what happens when you go back? So what happens when you go back home for the holidays with people who haven't seen you in a year, and you've had all this self-development and learning, and you're a different person? But if you take it from your parents' perspective or your siblings or whoever you haven't seen, they're still going to interact with you like the you that you were a year ago, but you're not that person anymore. So there can be conflict in that in itself. They may treat you, you might have changed and self-improved and say, I have these boundaries around people. I don't like people talking to you this way. But your parents still treat you or talk to you in that, talk down to you in the way that you were before. But you've now changed. So what Alex says in that video is that's why he says he doesn't go home. And I suspect there are other reasons. But his reasoning was, I don't like being related to in the way I was before. And add that on top of narcissism, and you have a huge problem now. And so my point in saying that is, it's not always that they're toxic. It can also just be they literally don't know how to treat you because you're just different from when you were last time you saw them.
Yeah,
and
valid point.
And there perhaps and those can be perfectly healthy people too. They may not even be doing that on purpose. They may not even know they're doing it. And so there are healthy ways of. Oh, go ahead.
Carl Jung, they haven't made the unconscious conscious. They're doing their subconscious programming without thinking about it. Evans, this is how I feel. I feel a little pity for him because people who are toxic are pretty miserable people across the board. Mm-hmm. They do that to deal with their inner turmoil. It's a coping mechanism. All their toxic behavior is coping mechanism. So yeah, that's why you feel sad and empathic, because they're pretty miserable. I feel the same way. Mm-hmm. I don't feel too much pity, but I do feel a little.
So Ryan's got almost no time left right now. He's got an appointment here pretty quickly. I'm going to say this is my parting shot.
Okay.
This time of year is generally reserved for joy and festivities. If you are not feeling joy and you're not being festive, then you need to see one of us so that next year you can participate in the joy and festivities 100%, or at least a lot more than you do this year. We'll teach you how to love yourself at a core level, how to build the inner game, solid inner frame built around that. And on top of that, you now have boundaries, and you will choose to do what makes you joyful. That's what we need to do. It's okay to be alone. I can be alone and very happy, and I can be with people and be very happy. Simple.
Yeah. So Tim, you are clearthattrauma.com, jordankurtzhypnosis.com. You can go to my site, innermasculine.com. I'll put it all in the, give me a little bit. It's going to be a couple hours, but I said 30-minute free consult. I'll give a Calendly link for that. And, you guys, if you're getting triggered during the holidays, it means you have subconscious trauma. You can get to a point where you go back to Christmas, and whereas before you felt like crap because they made you feel like crap, now you go back and maybe you're kind of bored, maybe you don't really want to be there because you don't like these people, but you're not getting triggered anymore. You just feel kind of neutral. Like that's how my holidays are. If I go home, it's a little boring for me, but it's pretty uneventful, and I feel just fine. Even if they pull their crap, I'm like, whatever. That's not me. That's them being them. So when you heal your subconscious, it's like that. You won't get triggered. You feel normal, so it doesn't affect you anymore. So we invite you, claim your power. Go to the video section of MindChrysalis, this channel. Watch some of those testimonials. You'll see massive shifts. It's what we do. So I'll put that, but you can go to the websites here, school.com, MindChrysalis, Tim's site, Jordan's site, book a session with us. We'll clear that stuff out. And that's going to not just help you in the holidays. It'll help you, the rest of the year as well. So that's our show. We hope you guys have found this useful. The holidays, they're what you make of it. And you don't have to buy into the bull crap if it's just hurting you. You can say no, because you deserve to stand up for yourself. You're worth standing up for yourself and getting what you want and actually having a joyous holiday. All of the manipulations and stuff that are used against you as society's expectations, it's really just an illusion. In reality, you actually do have the power. You have more power than you know. That's our show. Thanks.